Just want to let y'all know where I'm at. Not interested in running. Hope it doesn't come to that. But I was told I owe it to all of us to at least leave the door open. That's what I did. By the way, this Sunday, I'm scheduled to be on This Week with George Stephanopoulos on ABC. And practically every other network is called. They're apparently taking it very seriously. So I have no choice but to do so. It just comes down to that. It just comes down to that.
You think? All right, so Stephen A., if you have no choice but to take things seriously, then you are stepping into that realm now where you become conversation bait. Because now we need to be talking about this guy. Since he decides, he wants to take things seriously, time to start talking about you, Steve. We'd be talking about Hillary. We'd be talking about AOC or Bernie. Now we're going to have to start talking about you. And I don't think Stephen A. Smith, my personal opinion, I don't think Stephen A. Smith has any intention of running for president. I'm going to tell you why after we go through this, but I'm a marketer. The dude's a marketer. He's got a brand. I understand what he's doing. And I'm going to tell you what exactly it is he's doing.
And I have no choice because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names, elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician. I just signed a contract extension with ESPN. I am very, very
pretty
happy
good one too
with my day job. I'm very happy with my boss. This is a pretty damn good one. Just right. It's a pretty damn good contract. I couldn't be happy.
And that's it. You see, Stephen A. Smith, unlike Trump and other people who get into politics, Stephen A. Smith likes his money. He loves his money. He loves the trappings of his success. Stephen A. Smith just signed a contract in excess of $100 million. But as you've seen in politics, you have to divest yourself of those interests should you get in the ring. Now, unlike Trump and unlike others, he doesn't have $100 million. There's a big difference there. He signed a $100 million contract over, I think it was 5 or 6 years. So if you decide in 26 that you want to run for president, you're not going to see the rest of that money. ESPN's going to pay you up until the point where you're like, hey, listen, I want to run for president. And then, you don't got to pay me the rest. So at that point, unless he wants to get into some campaign finance mistakes, he's walking away from potentially $80 million guaranteed. Guaranteed. He's never seen this kind of money that ESPN is throwing around. So it's my estimation. Well, I'll hold the rest of what I'm going to say.
Yeah, but here's the reality. People have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, you don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibilities 2 to 3 years down the line. And that's what I've decided to do. But again, whether it's Governor Westmore, who I know, or Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who I know, Andrew Cuomo, who I had the pleasure of interviewing, who's trying to get back in things and be the next mayor of New York, etc. I see a lot of people that obviously and clearly are more qualified than me. But in the same breath, when you think about what Trump is getting away with, when you think about what you brought up about Steve Bannon, who's trying to be slick because he's looking at a non-political individual like myself, looking at me as a populist, but you better be careful what you ask for, because some of the stuff that Trump and the right has been trying to get away with, like circumventing the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, talking about how there could be a third term, be careful what you wish for, because if any GOP member, if any Republican supports that, I don't want to hear word out of their mouth ever again about the following the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. That's what they've been living off for years. And then you're talking about circumventing the 22nd Amendment, and you think that's cool? No way. That's not something that we should stand for. So I would hope somebody else would step up that's more qualified than me. But if it
I bet you do. I bet you do. We know you hope somebody steps up. Not too soon, because this is cool. I'm on ABC. I'm on Hannity. I'm getting all this publicity. I'm getting all this FaceTime. This is cool. But it's different when you actually sign and fill out those papers. Because at that point, they're going to bend you over backwards, Stephen A., and they're going to find every imperfection, nook and cranny. They're going to dig into you every which way but Sunday, and they're going to find out some things that I'm pretty sure Stephen A. Smith doesn't want to talk about. See, right now it's easy. I can talk about it. I'm on television. I just got a $100 million contract. But just like with everything else with the Democrats, it's all smoke and mirrors. But it's enough to cause some of these people to take notice and start salivating that they might have their new savior.
to come down to me, it is something I would consider. Yes, I would, because I don't mind the thought of tussling with these folks at all, on the left or the right. All of them disgust me, to be quite honest with you.
So earlier today, I spoke to Mark Mitchell. And Mark from Rasmussen had some information about this. So listen to this, because it's kind of interesting.
This is one of my favorite polls. We just polled on Stephen A. Smith, and it was stunning. And I did it for Pablo Torres. Find out it's sponsored, so you can go to RasmussenReports.com. Everybody watching this can download it for free. We asked a whole bunch of questions there. So we did primaries and general head-to-heads. And Stephen A. Smith, keep in mind, people like him because he's an entertainer, but a lot of people don't know him. So from a favorability rating, 45% said not sure. They just don't know who this guy is at all. And because Americans are agreeable, they don't say I have an unfavorable opinion if they don't know him. He was very positive, like net 13, I think it was, like really high favorability. Wow. But he, like, essentially an enigma. People like really didn't know who he was. In a Democrat primary, he trails Kamala Harris by only 21 points, and he only trails Gavin Newsom by 3 and AOC by 4. And so she has one of the biggest social influencer footprints of any Democrat. Kamala Harris just had $3 billion in free press. Like, so he does really well. And so that, to me, is signs that Democrat voters are desperate for an outsider because they don't think the party can fix itself. But then in a head-to-head, 38% J.D. Vance, 34% Stephen A. Smith. Now, a whole ton of caveats. It's super far out. It's a lot could happen between now and then. So many people said not sure. It's because they were holding out for another candidate. They'll probably break one way or the other. But the Republicans could easily lose 2028 if they don't do better, in my opinion, of internalizing the MAGA agenda. And as we all know, with the rhinos everywhere, it's a tall order. And then I'll tell you, he's a pretty big, he's not a spoiler, but he gets 11% if he runs as a third party. So maybe he'll pull RFK on the Democrats. I don't know.
What Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah, I find him to be the jester of ESPN. But when you hear those numbers, and Mark is very credible with his numbers, you got to be saying, you got to be kidding me. Are people that gullible? They're gullible because they're looking for something. Anything. Show me somebody who can lead us past this MAGA stuff. And so they're looking all over the place and being shown false idols. And constantly, again, as I said earlier, and I hope it didn't offend anybody, but they're having mental masturbation. They're fantasizing. Oh my God, somebody's got to beat J.D. Vance. Anyone. Trump can't do it again. Because they got nothing. And Stephen A. Smith, the opportunist, the marketer that he is, realizes, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be a gravy train for me. I don't even have to fill out any papers. I can just pretend that the illusion is out there that I could run for president. And because of that, I'm good. Hey, people are calling me. All these people are calling me. Networks, I'm going to be on TV. My personal brand is going to rise. I am going to get the visibility that Mark Mitchell just said he doesn't have. He has it in the sports world. And now it's going to be given to him. You watch. He'll be on CNN. He'll be on MSNBC. He's already all over Fox with Sean Hannity. What does that do for you? It elevates your brand for free. I'm telling you right now, if I ever got on Fox or television, what that does for you is more people are going to subscribe to his channel. More people are going to watch his videos. More people are going to watch ESPN. It all spells cash. That's cash money right there. Just count it. He knows this. He's playing these people. He's playing them for all it's worth. He's never going to run. Never. Never. Not from people who know him. Not from people who've seen him will this guy run. Because he's never done anything. Yes, he's a great commentator. Some people think he's a great commentator. He gets ratings. What's he done? Jason Whitlock.
Is doing, and people are going to take Stephen A. Smith seriously as a presidential candidate, and he may win the Democratic nomination, and he may win the presidency, because we haven't fixed what's wrong with America. Our eyes are open, and many of us are demanding change, but the change hasn't happened yet, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen. And for Stephen A. Smith to be running out there and admitting, yeah, I think I want to run for president, is an indication that the people controlling him say, no, there's no real change. We'll be back to business. And people are like, how's he? Kamala Harris got away with it. An illegitimate nominee for the Democratic Party. They run out Biden, install her. She never has to compete in the primary. She never has to earn the right to be the Democratic nominee. She never had to answer any real questions. She never had to prove any level of competency. And they ran her for president. And yes, Trump won all the swing states. But she came within 4 or 5 million votes of beating him in the popular vote. And if they were able to cheat just a little bit better, she would have won the presidency. If they feel like, man, we got Kamala Harris this close, we got Joe Biden across the finish line, Stephen A., that's easy work.
So, Barry, why are you showing this? Because it's on you to make sure that doesn't happen. It's on you to smoke this out early. Start laying the traps in the leaves here. Don't let Democrats come up with another head of steam to put somebody else out there, just like Joe and Kamala, who've got nothing behind them. Can he win? Hell yes, he can win. How can he win? We just saw them put up a dementia patient. We just saw them put up a cackling fool. And the one thing that Stephen A. Smith has that neither of them, neither Biden nor Kamala has, is his ability to get on stage, make a fool of himself, entertain, and be funny and talk. He's not going to drool like Joe Biden. He's not going to look stupid like Kamala. So don't take this and say, there's no way to, oh yeah, we just saw it almost happen. The media will coalesce behind whoever has a D behind their name. They don't care. They will give him so much publicity. So much publicity. Don't take it for granted that this clown would never win. Jason had some more to say.
I mean, seriously, Stephen A. Smith works at ESPN. He's an employee. It's not like he's run some major company and had 100 people that are direct reports to him, or that he oversees a bunch of people that have direct reports to them. He sits on TV and talks about sports. And now he's flirting with the idea of being president of the United States. This is, I'm going to show you the disconnect. And if you don't get the reference, I was talking about Douglas Murray. He had that interview or that debate with Dave Smith, the comedian, on Joe Rogan's podcast. And he just kept beating up Dave Smith on the point of like, hey, you have no right to have an opinion on what's going on in American foreign policy because you haven't been to this place or that place. And that argument made no sense. But if someone says, hey, I want to fly this plane and there's going to be 200 passengers on this plane, you then have a right, and it's just natural to say, have you ever flown a plane before? Have you prepared yourself to fly a plane? Those are legitimate, obvious questions. And I don't understand why people are calling themselves journalists and they keep interviewing Stephen A. Smith without ever saying, like, hey, what are your qualifications?
You see right there, Jason, he's talking, but he's answering his own question, and that's why you need to be prepared. The mere fact that the media can bring this guy on a Sunday morning talk show on ABC, on a major network, and talk to him as if he's a legitimate candidate, they are in essence legitimizing him. Oh, Stephen A. Smith might run for president. Oh, he was on ABC. Did you see him? Yeah, he was talking to George Papadopoulos or somebody over there, and they were talking to him, like he's a presidential candidate. Oh, he's on Sean Hannity all the time now. Oh, he's on Chris Cuomo's show. Oh, Stephen, yeah, I see him all the time. That's how they do it. So don't for an instant think that because he hasn't flown a plane that he can't get behind the wheel in the cockpit. They will stick him in there like a blow-up dummy. They don't care. At this point, we should be ready. If they're willing to put AOC as a presidential candidate, if they're willing to talk about Jasmine Crockett as a presidential candidate, why not Stephen A. Smith? Because they don't need a body. They just need a carcass, somebody who's breathing, barely breathing, and they'll take care of all the rest. Sign here. Do this. Don't do that. Kiss that baby. I am not thinking that he can't win. I just think he won't run. I don't think he would do that. I think he's using this. This is a parlay for his next contract. Can you imagine if in the next 4 years he's raised his profile to where he is a household name? Many of you in here, oh, who's Stephen A. Smith? All right, so imagine 3 years down the road, he's a household name. Everybody knows him. And he goes to MSNBC and not MSNBC, I'm sorry, ESPN. Hey, it's time for renewal. What's it going to cost us? $200 million. I'm Stephen A. Smith. Or he says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to step into Rachel Maddow's shoes, and I'm going to be the next big anchor. Pay me $40 million. And now I don't have to do a daily show on ESPN and go to fly around and do all these doggone football games. I'm telling you, I'm thinking like if I'm him, I do 2 shows here, right? So I can understand. He's like, number one, I'm in flipping Bristol, Connecticut, doing these shows. And I'm talking to people at football, and then blah, blah, blah. And I'm doing this. I'm doing it 5 days a week. Okay, making good money. Now imagine you're like Rachel Maddow. And you get 1 show a week in New York. And you get paid $40 million a year to do it. That's one hell of an elevation.
Being president, you want to grab the steering wheel. Have you ever driven a car? Could we at least, that's a fundamental basic question. And I get that later in the interview, Stephen A. will make a passing statement about, hey, someone better qualified than me, and I'm only doing this because people are asking me. I'm only doing this because Donald Trump is so bad and Democratic leadership is so bad. Nah, none of that justifies being completely unqualified, completely unprepared, and saying, I want to fly the plane.
Except if the people whose plane it is let you do it. And that's where we are with the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party doesn't care whether you crash and burn. They don't care. Just beat the Republicans. You know, if you end up crashing the plane, we'll put somebody else in. At least win. If you saw it. See, the one thing that legitimizes Stephen A. Smith is Joe Biden. Everything you saw with the 2020 election and that guy should legitimize Stephen A. Smith or AOC or Jasmine Crockett. We can't let our guards down for an instant. We can't sit here in the chat and go, that could never happen. No way, Barry. That could not. What happened in 2020? And they were this close from happening again. Remember, if he doesn't go up in that debate against Trump and go, if he doesn't just completely blow it, there's a good chance they could have pushed him over the line again. They didn't have enough time with Kamala. They spent $1 billion in a month or two trying to get her over the line. She got within 4 or 5 points. Now, understand, Joe Biden, if he didn't flub that debate, they were going to push him as far as they possibly could, and he can't even spell his name. They didn't care if he died. Okay, we just put Kamala in at that point. So don't for an instant think to yourself, hey, there's no way he can't win. Because there is a way he can, well, put it this way. He doesn't have to win. He can get installed.